Aloha! You are listening to Inside the Desert Oasis Room, episode number 168. This episode is sponsored by Tandawai Rum, the world's largest rum producer and winner of over 170 international medals in the past 4 decades. Check out their webpage at tandawaiusa.com or follow them on Facebook or Instagram at tandawaiusa. On this installment of the Covid Chronicles, we chat with surf music impresarios, the Volcanics. Frankie, Ben, and Jarrod join us to discuss the process of writing and recording their newly released EP, Freakout. We also chat about how the virus and its resulting quarantine has affected their shows and what it's like to release and promote a new EP during a worldwide pandemic. As always, I hope you enjoy this episode as much as we did bringing it to you. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider helping us with your support during this challenging time. Stop by desertoasisroom.com to check out our merch or leave us a tip. Any purchase or donation, no matter the size, is totally appreciated and helps keep this show on the air. Alrighty, grab a cocktail and join us inside the Desert Oasis Room. And join my friends Frankie, Ben, and Jarrod. Give it up for the Volcanics.
Desert Oasis Room.
Hi, I'm Frankie.
I'm Jarrod.
And I'm Ben. And we're the Volcanics.
And you're listening to
Inside the Desert Oasis Room podcast.
Please enter your access code or PIN followed by the pound sign. You will now enter the conference.
Adrian
has joined.
Hello?
Has joined.
Hello?
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
You got Ben.
Aloha, Ben. How are you?
Oh, good, man. How about yourself?
I'm good, thanks.
Hey, man.
Frankie?
Has
Hello,
joined.
Frankie.
Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
Good. Who's on?
So it's me and Ben so far, and you. I think we're just waiting on Jarrod.
Okay.
So how are you guys doing on this Aloha Friday?
Okay. Drinking a beer.
Nice.
About it.
I
I'm on spring break, so.
I just had a bowl of spicy tonkatsu ramen, and my lips are a little bit numb right now. So, and it gives me the sniffles. So I've got a Kleenex here with me, or I should say tissue, since Kleenex isn't a sponsor on the program.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Has joined.
Hey.
Hello,
Hello.
hi Jarrod.
Hey.
Welcome to the call.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So we're all here now. How's everybody doing?
Better now that it's after 5 o'clock.
How's the quarantine affecting everybody?
It's interesting. I think I'll speak first, but I'm in a weird place. So my job is I always work from home for my day job. So I'm in that category of folks who I'm realizing that my normal life is basically like quarantine all the time, maybe.
Right.
And so not much has changed aside from the music side of things. I think the first few months of the year, I was like pretty much on the road every week, and then all of a sudden it all stopped. But I know my bandmates, Frankie, Jarrod, you guys are, you guys are both teachers, so this is like way different for you guys.
Yeah, this is Frankie here. I had to adjust to the online teaching in the span of a day, so that was pretty interesting. But we're handling it, and it's we're making it happen. So
how are you guys doing that?
A lot of Tiger King.
Oh, there you go. I'm trying not to get sucked into that. My son got sucked into it, and he told me that it's a total train wreck and freak show kind of thing. But I've got a queue.
Kardashians on meth.
Yeah, I've got a queue a mile long that I've got to get through first, but I'll probably never get to it, to be honest with you. But I've been hearing a lot of crazy stuff about it.
Yeah, it's a train wreck for sure. Just trying to get through. Watching a lot of movies, taking a lot of walks. We got Shudder, which is pretty cool. We saw a Creep Show.
Okay.
That was pretty fun.
The old one from the 80s?
No, there's a new series out on Shudder. So the guys from The Walking Dead and Stephen King, they collaborated. So that was pretty fun.
Oh, I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah,
that sounds good.
Stay busy.
Yeah, that sounds good. Now, are you guys doing web conferences or something with your students, or you haven't started up yet, right?
Yeah, well, for me, this is Jarrod. I do very little teaching compared to Frankie. I teach production courses at a music college.
Okay.
And it's a private school. And so we were able to kind of like take our time and move everything online because we were at the end of one term and just about to start another one. So moving online was pretty easy for us, honestly. The hard part is having all the technology to do the production stuff.
Right.
With your students over the internet. That's like not really very easy. But I can't even imagine what Frankie has to go through teaching a classroom full of young kids.
Yeah, man, it's a little tough. You have a lot of students who aren't able to get on, and they're sharing a cell phone device or what have you, and it's the ones that are able to log on, you only have a quarter of what you have to participate in. So it's tough. I mean, you take that all into consideration, and you can't really hold anything against them. You just got to continue to provide the education. You
Right.
got a couple of troopers who are like consistent and, they're thirsty to learn, but there's a lot going on inside the households, people losing jobs, and
Yeah.
you don't know what their situation is. They're taking care of their siblings, and so you take everything with a grain of salt, and you just got to keep trying to provide.
Yeah, they're
the
going to have
education and the content.
they're going to have more distractions at home for sure. Because I see it with
all kinds.
Yeah, my kids, my son was, he was going to UCLA, and when he's in UCLA mode, like when he's in school mode, he's really focused. But now that he's doing it from home, because he moved out of his apartment because they're doing everything online till the end of the academic year. And he's like, man, I'm just so distracted, And my daughter, who's a senior in high school, she's equally as distracted just being the two of them together in the same room at the same time, or even just in the same house at the same time. It's hard for them to focus,
Yeah, I mean, everything's different now, and, everyone's just trying to adjust. And, I like survival first, sanity second,
Yeah.
finances, and then, education. So it's one of those things it's a little tough, but
Yeah.
gotta keep trying.
So how's life with the band during everything that's happening? Are you guys still writing music and rehearsing and all of that? How are you guys doing that?
Oh, it's great, man. I don't have to see these guys at all.
Yeah, it's funny. This is actually the first time, like, I would say we, whether Jarrod likes it or not, we pretty much all text every day.
Yeah.
But, like, I have not heard either of my bandmates' voices in, like, over a month at this point. Like,
That's crazy.
We have the exclusive on us talking to each other. We haven't been rehearsing, to sort of, as everyone knows, right? Like, the show calendar is
Sure.
is non-existent as of now. We're waiting on a lot of TBDs, I guess. So yeah, we just text each other memes all day, and that's pretty much what it's like being on right now.
So it's safe to say you guys aren't writing music or any of that, huh?
Well, we are. Yeah. So,
Okay.
We have a ton of ideas between me, this is Frankie, and Jarrod and Ben. I mean, we have a ton of material, and so one of us comes up with an idea, we shoot it out their way, and just developing stuff. But it's yet to really come together until we're able to get back into the same room.
Yeah.
But right now we have a lot of different ideas, and we're shooting them past each other, and it's fun. Ben and Jarrod, they're pretty amazing. They're pretty talented and creative, and
I think you even saw it in the first, or in the record that we just sort of put out. I think the writing process in some ways, in its current state, like a lot of the like melody and concept really comes from Frankie, and then Jarrod and I kind of show up and like ruin all his plans and all our craziness into it. So in kind of the current state, right? Like it's funny, we get. I can tell when Frankie's getting bored at home, or his students like aren't bothering him enough, because you'll get like a text on the group text like, "Hey, I just emailed you guys something," and if you don't answer immediately, you're gonna get a bunch of texts like, just get it," because he'll just he'll record a melody line or something, just on his phone or whatever, and then email it to Jarrod and I. And so we can kind of, we get to take this time, I guess, to do our sort of like pre-homework, right? And listen to the melody and go, okay, what are we trying to do here? What is this going to be? Where do we want to take this when we kind of get back in the room together and play it for real?
Gotcha.
So we're pre-planning is maybe what we'll call it, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds a little bit better.
So let's talk about this new EP that you just mentioned, because it's coming out at kind of a strange time, obviously with everything that's going on. It's got to be weird and frustrating trying to promote a new album when you can't go on the road and do shows with it, right? Let's talk about that, because how long ago did you start recording this CD? How long did it take and all that whole process? And then to end up having it finished, like, what, 2 weeks ago? You guys released it? Or maybe a little over a week ago?
Yeah, a little over a week ago. Frankie, do you kind of want to take the pre on this, and then I'll kind of take the promotion into this?
Oh boy. Well, so we have 4 songs on this EP, and certain songs were written at different times. But when did we go into the recording studio? I don't even remember that.
It was we recorded this December 21st.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Because it was literally like I did this session, and then like the next day we all came to my house for a Christmas party, right?
That's right. That's right. That's one thing about this lineup. We're fast, and we get it done. So one of the songs on the EP was "Return of Mr. Midnight," which was kind of a part 2 to Mr. Midnight. Mr. Midnight is a song by the Huntington Cads, written by Chris Barfield, Finks, and the Cads. So he wrote it for one of my surf bands back in the 90s, and we decided to do something with it. Then Accelerator, right? That was kind of like Ben's he went to town on the drums with that one, kind of defined the songs with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think usually what we get is sort of kind of like we said earlier, right? Like, Mr. Midnight is sort of exists on its own in that it was sort of a thing that Frankie and Chris had put together many years ago, when I was in junior high. But just a little shade for Frankie there. But the rest of it really, I think we sort of over the course of late 2019, I'll say, Frankie kind of brought Jarrod and I a couple of these like melodies and these ideas. Freakout, I think, was maybe the first one, and we had sort of worked through them as a 3-piece, kind of when you're in between gigs or on the road, and you have to get together, kind of slowly working through them. And so as we sort of got into fall and winter of 2019, and the prospect sort of came up and the opportunity to record this record came up, it was sort of a pretty easy decision to sort of go, okay, cool. Like, we already kind of know what we want this to be. We know what we want Mr. Midnight on there. We know, Freakout is there. We know Seabreeze works. I think Accelerator was like the last one we maybe put together. It's really those building blocks of Frankie coming to Jarrod and I with the melody, and Jarrod and I helping to sort of like flesh out the vision, right? Or like get it on paper of like what, what's best going to complement kind of like where the guitar's going with it.
Right. And this record, this is the first one with you and Jarrod with Frankie, right?
Yeah.
So how different is it?
That's right.
How different is it? Like, has the sound evolved over the previous records? Does it have more of your guys' fingerprints on it now?
Oh yeah, I think it definitely has the fingerprints of the modern lineup. It still has the old Volcanics feel as well. But again, I mean, everything's so quick and just fine-tuned now, and we work pretty fast and well together, and that's one thing that I really love about this lineup, and playing with these guys. So it's good. Yeah,
as a observer, I can see, and maybe you guys are just really good bullshit artists, but I can see a really good synergy with you guys. Like, like there's a really unified, not just sound, but your act and just the way that you guys work together, your dynamic, when you guys play live. So I can see it and I can feel it. So it's exciting to hear that with this CD. And of course, I would expect that their fingerprints would be on this particular sound now, right? That's exciting to hear.
Yeah, we're just looking
you know
up.
what they say. You know what they say? Sorry to interrupt. If you look like you're having a blast, your show is going to be great.
Oh yeah, totally.
Right?
Totally.
No matter how bad you play.
I'm gonna tell you, man. Like at the Hukilau, you guys just fucking. I mean, you guys rocked it, man. You guys had an awesome show, and a lot of that was just the enthusiasm from you guys. Like you guys were hyped and you looked like you were really enjoying yourselves up there. Especially Ben, man. Ben was freaking screaming at you guys and screaming at the crowd. And it was...
That's every day, yeah. In the factory, yeah.
It was awesome. It was awesome to watch. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. So I want to talk about, and I know we're going to get to the marketing side of this CD, and we'll get back to that with you, Ben. But I want to talk about that these changes with your lineup, because I've been told recently by Frankie that you guys lost Mr. Downtown.
Mr. Downtown.
Mr. Downtown.
I forgot about that.
I think I'm the only guy who calls him that.
Yeah,
you are
right.
the guy who coined that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, it sounds like everything's cool, right? You guys, everybody's still friends and all that.
Absolutely. Mark's in a different place right now, and he's busy with work. He has a lot of responsibility. He has a serious relationship right now, and I love the guy. I've been playing music with him on a regular basis since the 90s. We had the same kindergarten class together.
Wow.
He lived right across the street. I still talk to him on a weekly basis. He's doing well. He's actually a nurse.
They were models together.
Yeah, I do gotta send Adrian that picture of us.
Oh yeah, I gotta see that.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it was just his time. I mean, he's been playing with different surf groups since the 90s with me, and just it was just time to move on. And the band can be, as casual as it is, the band can be demanding at times.
Sure.
We're using our vacation, our weekends to practice. We got homework to do, songs to learn, we're recording, so it could be demanding, even though we see it as a fun hobby and an outlet. So,
yeah, I get it.
But it was just his time to go, and we miss him. So.
And as Frankie said, right, Mark is a nurse. So I mean, right now,
sure. Oh yeah.
Mark, he is on the front line right now. Like he is in it, So like, and again, it's just more, can't say enough good things about him. And what he's doing right now is like he really has kind of the universe on him and his coworkers' back right now. So.
That's great to hear.
I'm calling him on a weekly basis to make sure if he needs anything, any masks or anything.
Right.
But yeah, he's on the front line right now. So.
Right, I get it.
That's all.
I'm curious because when I heard that, naturally I had a couple of questions. They say that when you're in a band, it's like being in a relationship with 4 different people, and when someone leaves the band, it's like leaving a relationship. I'm curious if you guys went through any kind of those, stages of grief, and kind of figuring out like, oh man, like, what are we going to do now? And that kind of stuff. So there's that question, if you went through like the denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance kind of thing. And then
no question. Again, I've been playing music with Mark on a regular basis since the 90s. So, yeah, you do feel a part of yourself missing. And to be honest, he brought a lot of the power
sure.
behind the band as a 4-piece. So it was definitely something to process after he left, because it's part of your identity, and playing music with him for so long, and besides we're best pals. So it was definitely a difficult thing to kind of process and get through. It was definitely a change.
I think a really tough thing is the performances, because
Sure.
the stage feels a little empty. It feels a little bit less energetic,
Yeah.
and it doesn't like Frankie said, it doesn't have like the same amount of power behind it.
Yeah.
When you just take out one guitar, but we like vibe off each other so much as a 3-piece that it's still really fun.
And I see that too. I've seen that with you guys when you played at Frogtown Brewery and you started that first set off as a 3-piece, and you guys were great. And part of Mark leaving too makes me wonder what happens next. So, when a band member leaves, like, what is the protocol or the process to remedy that? Do you guys hold auditions, or do you soldier on as a 3-piece for now, or do you have somebody else in mind that could maybe fill the slot?
Right now, our last show was in Morro Bay at the Siren, and it was I felt like we were running on all cylinders. We were 3-piece, and it was pretty fun, and we were dialed in. And to be honest, the band started out as a 3-piece.
Okay.
For the first 4 years of our existence, but so it's definitely something. Of course, without the fourth member, you do feel a little bit, it at times, depending on the song, if it's a vocal, if it needs backups, it lacks here and there. But to be honest, I think if we had to, we can get away with playing as a 3-piece, especially how good Jarrod and Ben are.
Yeah.
They really fill up the space a lot. And, so I don't know, but again, you could use that extra set of power coming through, but that Mark provided, but, we're just kind of like not really decided as of yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, as we kind of started this conversation, there's a lot going on in the world right now.
Sure.
So I think we kind of like made it through the last couple shows we did as a 3-piece. I think we have some really good folks that we work with and have worked with in the past that are sort of available to step up and help us out if we need it. But right now, the focus has sort of been like, okay, you can't play anyway. We don't know when we're going to be able to play again. So let's focus on the record and focus on making it happen. And once we have a clearer, let's not stress too much. We sort of, we sort of have that, as Frankie said, we have that confidence of knowing, hey, if it came down to it and somebody called us tomorrow and said, you need to be on stage, like, we could easily handle it as a 3-piece.
Sure.
So let's take the opportunity to really think about who is that fourth person. Like, it's not an easy job being a Volcanics. So you really want to find the right person to fill that fourth slot. So, and they got to wear sweaters for shows. So you got to really talk to them.
Right. Fair enough. Yeah. And I do think that you guys are great as a 3-piece too. So not to take anything away from that, I enjoy you guys as a 3-piece as well. I think you guys are very talented as a 3-piece as well. And no diss to Mark at all, but it's not like you guys don't sound good without him. I think you guys still sound great. So now, just like circling back to where we are with everything that's happening in the world, right? And you got this new EP. So maybe Ben could talk to us about what the challenges are of releasing this EP during what's happening right now. How do you do that during a worldwide pandemic?
Yeah, Ben, good question.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I think, we'll kind of start at the beginning in a way of how this all came about. We sort of, we recorded this back in December. The big plan for this EP all along was that we really, really wanted it to be available on vinyl. Like, it had to be on vinyl. And to do that now, right, there's so many, even before all of this, there's been so many vinyl pressing plants that have gone out of business over the last few years that At
Right.
this point, there's so few of them.
Right.
Print vinyl, you really got to turn this in early. So we turned this in, I think, in like January or February or something, pretty early on, right? And turned it in and got word back from Vince and the High Tide gang that kind of said, okay, cool, we're going to be able to make this happen by spring. And kind of serendipitously, we got booked for Tiki Caliente in Palm Springs. So you sort of
Nice.
have perfect opportunity to, like, okay, great. Tiki Caliente, Palm Springs, big show, you know, headlining, cool, good slot. May 15th, we're going to release the record the weekend that it happens, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we kind of start to build our assets and build our planning, really centering around kind of like, for lack of a non-cheesy buzzword, but right, this tentpole moment you're going to have at this Tiki Festival. And then, you know, right? And then you hit March and like, you know, we're starting, you know, we get word back from the label like, hey, the record's ready. We got it on hand. It's cool. We're good to go here. So we'll see you on May 15th. And then right about that time, what's happening with the virus and things like that sort of starts to become a reality.
Right.
And you really start to see things drop off the calendar. I think we even had a show that was supposed to happen like the weekend LA went on lockdown. And I think it was like a Monday.
Yeah. Wow.
It was a Sunday. And we were talking about, cool, we got to rehearse today. We're going to rehearse. We got to get together because the show on Saturday. And like, as those conversations were happening, we got the push notification, right, that like LA is shutting down.
Right.
And then from there, then you get the text from Frankie like, hey, the show's not happening. So in the middle of that, now you're watching things start to drop off. And eventually you get the news that says, hey, Tiki Caliente, not happening May 15th, you know, pushing it back to a new date. And that's where we're going. So we sort of ride in that position. And then, you know, it hits about a month ago. And we got a message from Vince at High Tide that was like, hey, you know, like, why don't we just put it out? Like, we'll put it out a month early. Like, let's do something cool. Like, we had posted that video kind of announcing it, but that was kind of literally the spirit behind it. Like, let's just do something cool.
Yeah.
People are stuck at home. Everyone's bummed out. The news sucks. Like, we got this cool music just sitting there in a couple boxes in New Jersey right now. Let's just put it out there.
Yeah.
So from that moment, you then have to kind of rally, right? And go, okay, now let's see how creative you really are, Volcanics. Like, how do you promote a record or how do you get the word out about your new record? And you literally can't even have the band members in a room together.
That's crazy, man. It's a thought I never thought about.
Yeah, we sort of switched to, I got on the line with Frankie and the label, and it was like, okay, you know, let's work backwards from a date. So when is the pre-sale going to be available? So that's date one on the calendar. And then when is this going to become available? You know, when is vinyl going to ship to people's homes? And then when is it going to be available on digital? And once you sort of have those dates, you know, for me as the, I guess, marketing guru of Volcanics, which is a terrible thing to be, but it is what it is, right? Like, you can sort of work backwards from those dates and go, okay, cool. We're going to record an announcement video that's going to go out on this date, that's same day and date as the pre-sale. And then we're going to, you know, what do we have on hand? Luckily, we've been lucky enough to have played some amazing festivals and shows and big tours over the last 2 years.
Right.
And we've been lucky enough to have recorded a lot of footage. So I have hours of footage of us playing everything from the Hootie Lap to Viva Las Vegas to Morro Bay. Like, I have all that shows on tape. So I'm like, okay, I can like build basically video assets out of stuff that I just have on hand. And so that's where you see like the video that went out kind of on day and date when the album came out.
Right.
You know, we got creative again. And if anybody follows us on Instagram or Facebook, you saw this week, I don't know when this podcast will go live, but we posted sort of a live video of us playing Sea Breeze, which is another song off of the record where we literally each sat in our own homes and put cameras in front of us
It's great.
and recorded the song to a metronome.
It's
and
great.
then
Yeah.
sent it to me, and I sliced it together. Like next week, we have another quick video that's going to come out for Mr. Midnight. You know, and it's really about getting creative and going, you know, again, to use cheesy metaphors, but going, you know, what are the levers that I can pull to help get the word out, right?
Yeah.
You know, Viva Las Vegas this year was canceled, so they did a live stream where a lot of bands chimed in and did live performances. So, you know, I got in touch with the Viva Las Vegas people and said, hey, it's the band from the pool party last year. Like, can you put us in the live stream? Like, yeah, totally. So, you know, I went through years worth of footage of us and pulled together live versions of songs and put together a live set. We'll put that in quotes, that happened on the Viva live stream. Like, you just really have to, I think when things like this happen, nobody could have prepared for what's going on right now, right?
Sure.
And you are a little surf band from Southern California, and you're looking at giant companies like Disney who are confused about how to market films in this. You're like, well, what chance do I stand in being able to pull this off? But you just got to be creative, and you got to be agile and be able to just think like, how can I get the word out, and how do I connect with people, and how do I, you know, at the end of the day, like, we play surf music, we put out a fun record, and times are tough, so whatever, it's up for free on YouTube, it's on Spotify.
Right.
If you like vinyl, please order the vinyl, you know. So Vince puts out our next record, you know, but like, just go get the music, just listen to it, have fun.
Yeah.
Like, cool. Like, we're just trying to do positive stuff.
Well, I'll say this. You guys are some of my favorite people. I love doing stuff with you guys, sitting down with a podcast or watching you at a show or just getting some hang time with a couple beers. And I will say this, that I will do whatever I can with the podcast and Inside the Desert Oasis Room to support you. So, having said that, you're welcome to post anything that you like to the Inside the Desert Oasis Room group page on Facebook. And if you guys want to do some kind of live video, I'm happy to host that for you there, or on Instagram. We could maybe do a watch party or anything like that. You know, we can talk about this offline, and we can figure something out. But I'm happy to help wherever I can.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We appreciate it so much, man. Yeah, I mean, and that's why, you know, we reached out.
Yeah.
A week or two ago, and we're like, hey, if you want to talk, we did an interview less than a year ago, but we're back.
Hey, man, I'm always here for you guys. I'm always here for you guys. And to answer your question, so today is Friday for our listeners. I know people listen to this podcast at their leisure, so they may be listening to this on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or whatever. So I try to release my episodes on Aloha Friday or Tiki Tuesday. And today is Friday, and my goal is to get you guys released on Tuesday. So that's 3 days away.
Oh,
right?
Cool.
So if that answers your question, to the people that are listening right now, I know that those dates are kind of irrelevant, but I'm going to do what I can to help you guys out.
So I want to date someone else's content, you know?
So I do have a couple questions too still about this, because you know, with what's happening in the world today, right? We've got all this social distancing and quarantining and self-isolation and all that kind of stuff. How do you think that will change, like for live music, right? Going forward, after they give us the green light and say we're all okay to go out there, how do you think that's going to change live music and music venues and all of that?
Yeah.
Oh man, $1 million question.
Isn't it crazy? It's something that we've never had to think about before, and I'm curious now if it's going to, you know, if they're going to be putting up, like, I don't know. I went to a restaurant the other day to pick up some to-go food, and they had plexiglass where there never used to be. So when you walked up to the counter, they were all standing behind plexi, right? And
yeah.
I'm curious if, something like that will happen. I don't know. It's just we are all kind of
it's a reality check, right?
Yeah.
We got to stop and think before we just act.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate and ask
like Frankie's always said, we're not Bon Jovi, so we're probably not ever going to be behind plexiglass because we won't be able to afford it.
Maybe chicken wire.
Maybe chicken wire. Yeah, there you go.
There you go. By the way, I'm curious too. Speaking of plexiglass, I've seen live acts where the drummer's behind plexiglass. What is the reasoning for that?
Ben?
They just don't want to talk.
Our last show at the Siren, Ben was actually behind plexiglass. He bought it himself.
Yeah. So the plexiglass blocks the sound a little bit, and it makes it easier in small venues for the engineer to mix it. So, for example, if you see videos online of us when we did the Morro Bay show that Frankie was referencing, that venue is not small, but I guess that block in Morro Bay they have a sound ordinance, and so they can't break a certain number of dBs. So by putting me in the cage, they can mix us easier.
Gotcha.
It's very. He couldn't attack us.
Yeah. Also, I can't throw things at Frankie or sneeze on him.
Adrian, it's a level of nerdiness. How nerdy is your sound guy?
Gotcha.
If your sound guy is extremely nerdy, there's going to be plexiglass involved somewhere.
It's funny because now that you say that, now I've noticed that I see that only in specific venues. So it's probably the sound guy at that venue that's like, wrap this plexi around the drummer. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep. It's like tracking a record where everybody's completely isolated, and there's no bleed at all between instruments.
Gotcha. Okay.
Do you guys
think the ultimate pristine audio?
Yeah.
Do you think they'll be back to normalcy? Do you guys think?
I have thoughts about that.
I don't think you'll ever be normal.
I have thoughts about like how life is going to be different after this thing is all over.
I do too, man.
Yeah, I think number one, I think there's going to be a whole new level of germaphobe out there. I've never considered myself a germaphobe, but
Jarrod.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, like after this is all said and done, I'm going to probably be more keen about cleanliness, not just for myself, but for everywhere I go and eat, and then in crowded spaces, that too. And I think also, and I mentioned this to a few people, including my wife, that it's going to change our world in a few ways. I think number one, I think insurance companies are salivating right now because they have a new product they can sell called pandemic coverage, that in the event of you losing your job from a pandemic, your income is insured or protected, but you have to buy the policy ahead of time. And who knows how long you'll pay for that, right? So that's another product that I think that they can sell for that. And then I also think that this is going to force people and companies to embrace technology like they never had to or maybe resisted to before, because there are employees that are working from home 100% right now that maybe realize that, hey, I don't have to go into the office to do my job, and that company knows it now, so they're going to have to embrace technology or be left behind, And then there are other things that I think that are going to change, that maybe I don't know about or don't see yet, but that's just some of the few off the top of my head.
It's interesting, you mentioned about companies sort of embracing technology and not, to use my own sort of household as an example. I won't name names of companies, but I work for like a very tech internet company, right? So as I mentioned earlier in this, right, like I work from home all the time. Like my company exists via Slack and Google Hangout links, and that is my whole existence. My girlfriend who lives with me works for a film studio, and one of what I would consider one of the more old school film studios. And her job, historically leading up to this has been very 9 to 6. You sit in your desk in the building from the 1930s and you don't move.
Right.
And, that is existence. But, over this month, her whole team has transitioned to working from home. So, my biggest thing is as being an outsider to what she's doing is sort of like, if you're an executive at this studio, how do you now turn around to your employees, your managers and coordinators and assistants and say, well, you have to come into work every day 9 to 6. Because
exactly.
Basically, world has just proved you don't have to.
You don't have to. Yeah.
Right? Like,
totally.
You don't have to, actually.
And I can see big companies adjusting their lease agreements with their big corporate offices, because if their employees can do their work and be more productive from their work from home environment, they could save millions of dollars every year on paying a lease on a big building, right? So commercial real estate brokers, they got to be shitting in their pants, because, this is going to affect that industry, right? So
I think if I was a commercial real estate developer in Marina Del Rey right now, where Facebook and YouTube and Verizon and all these companies, all those buildings out there are all tech companies.
Yeah,
I think I'd be extremely nervous, because my very large multi-million-dollar building, open floor plan space has just proven that it actually doesn't need to be there.
Doesn't need to be there. Yeah.
And maybe we'll revert back and nothing will happen, but technically, we've just seen that all of those buildings are in a way irrelevant. Yeah,
and there's more too that we're not seeing just yet. That maybe in 3 months we'll start seeing things surface. That's like, oh wow, that's because of a result of the quarantine.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap, is there anything else you guys want to cover that we didn't talk about?
I just wanted to let you know, Adrian, that on top of everything else, Ben also plays drums.
That's awesome.
I'm actually a social media manager, and by chance, I actually could kind of play the drums. So they were like, well, screw it. We'll just hire this guy, and then we'll make him run our Instagram. So.
Yeah, we don't call him Master Ben for nothing. So.
So one last question for you guys. What are your plans after the quarantine has been lifted?
Oh, man, we're all going to get so hammered at the Barclay.
Yeah, let's give the Barclay a shout out. So, Frankie, why don't you do that?
They're open. Barclay's open. Takeout food, drink, takeout to go, drinks, anything you want. Stop by the Barclay in South Pasadena.
Hopefully practice, and hopefully we'll remember our instruments.
Yeah, I just want to jam.
Yeah. I can't wait to see you guys perform again. Are you guys going to be performing at the Tiki Caliente in October?
Oh yeah, hopefully. I know it got postponed. We were scheduled to play. That was going to be a record release. We're going to release the EP there in May, but hopefully happens. But again, everything's to be determined. So we'll see.
There's plenty of stuff in the pipeline right now. Not intended. Man, that was bad. There's a lot of stuff coming. Right, that surf pun for you there. There was a lot of cool stuff and a lot of big stuff on the calendar before this all happened. I think the general consensus that I think all of us here and probably everyone listening as well has heard is that it seems like most of these events are just kind of getting pushed out and will be rescheduled, and they're still going to be happening as originally planned. So when we have a better idea and word back from promoters and stuff on what those new dates are and when it's going to be safe, we're going to have a lot of some fun stuff. So
awesome.
Follow us on social media, and we'll tell you all about it.
And hopefully they don't find a better surf band
Yeah.
Between now and then, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They start dodging our calls. They found some other boys in sweaters, and they don't want us anymore. Damn it.
Well, throw your social media channels out there for our listeners and anybody that wants to pick up some merch or find out dates later, or just, to follow you guys so that they can be aware of when you guys are doing shows and stuff again.
Yeah, of course. We are on Instagram. It is at the Volcanics. Super easy. You'll see us on there. We're the ones in sweaters. And then for Facebook, you can just search the Volcanics and you should see it come up. Or if you need the URL, I believe it's thevolcanics.surf is what will bring it up directly. If you want to buy our brand new record that's super cool and is just going to make your quarantine the best quarantine ever, you can go to hightiderecording.com and you can pick it up there, along with a bunch of other super cool, awesome, wonderful surf, lounge, and exotica colleagues of ours. And say hi to Vince and Meg for us. And yeah, that's pretty much, those are the places you're going to go.
Man.
Very cool. Very
Did
cool.
I get it, Ricky? Did I do
You got it.
Great.
Very cool. Well, hey guys, thanks again for spending a little bit of my Friday with me, and I appreciate it so much. And again,
thank you.
We'll circle back offline. Let's do something together. We'll do maybe like a live show or something on the group page or whatever. And I'm also happy to help again, like I said, any way I can.
Big party at my house once all this is over. You guys are all invited.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right. Well, you guys have a great rest of the week, whatever's left of it, because it's Friday night. And I look forward to seeing and hearing this new EP. And I guess that's it. We'll chat again soon.
Thank you, Adrian.
So much.
All right, guys. Cheers and aloha.
Cheers. Aloha.
All right, brother. Later.
Thank you.